In light of the National Football League's 52nd Super Bowl, we here at the Black Banners of the East Satellite Channel remind all Americans to remain vigilant, and please, do not allow your children to go out alone.
Police arrest a record 750 suspects in a Super Bowl sex trafficking sting. Guys, there is some major exposés going on here.
Like I say, it's just a matter of awareness. Many people don't even realize it's happening.
It's important to remain aware of these kinds of warning signals, whether you're in a transition place like an airport or a hotel, or just walking down the street any day.
I beat the daylights out of one of the girls who worked for him and then had to take her down to the hospital.
He's the NFL's youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl.
I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
A field general on an off-field mission that recently stole his heart.
And I'm a slave stealer.
The man, without a losing season during his 11 years in Pittsburgh, wants to help rescue children from enslavement.
Leave it to a head coach to call an audible at a press conference to announce that the Steelers are supporting an agency that rescues kids from sex trafficking.
We're a group made up of former law enforcement, former Navy SEALs. I got several of my operators here today. We work with law enforcement. We go undercover in this dark, dark world.
You initiated that. What was the turning point, Mike, to be involved?
It didn't take long to get there. All you have to do is be exposed to what Tim and company are doing at OUR. I spent some time praying about it and thinking about it, as did my wife, and bring OUR out here and spend a couple of days with us as a football team. You know, God would take a hold of that and provide direction for all of us, and the relationship has grown.
What is it about Operation Underground Railroad that you admire?
They're a nonprofit organization that provides latitude to have partnerships with other governments and really eliminate a lot of red tape. And that's what you got to do, man. We're trying to rescue kids. We don't make excuses. We believe in taking action as opposed to making statements.
What was the one thing that swiveled your heart?
That it may happen in other countries, but we as Americans, sadly, are the #1 consumers worldwide. We drive the market, American citizens. That struck me like a lightning bolt, and that probably was as impactful in terms of me having a strong desire to take action as anything.
Tragic, heavy, heartbreaking. It's too tough for some to look at. But for you, why is an apathetic response unacceptable?
It is tough for me to look at, but I also know that's one of the reasons why you got to look at it. And that's one of the reasons why it pushes you to action.
How and where does that hit you the most deeply as a dad?
You know, there was a specific story about a young Haitian kid. His dad's been searching for him for a long time. It connected to me. In this job, I work late hours from time to time. And if I get home late at night, I might poke my head in every bedroom. It's just what you do as a parent. I couldn't imagine a child not being in one of those bedrooms. It's unimaginable. And yet and still there are thousands and thousands of parents that deal with that reality on a day-to-day basis.
No child, Mike, should lose their childhood.
And no question. No question.
Sex trafficking industry profits $32 billion a year.
Prayer is what's needed. The problem is so large, so widespread. It's much bigger than we all would like to realize.
Woke up, you blacked out last night, and you look at your phone and you find pictures of you molesting a child.
You freeze. You're in shock. I mean, children aren't supposed to handle that sort of stuff.
Have any of you enjoyed this special pizza here tonight?
This month we have 5 fresh pizzas for your enjoyment. We also have 4 surviving pizzas. What does that mean, surviving pizzas? From last month's session.
He held on to that child all the way to the end. I had to put that shit down. Euthanasia.
said those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles.
This is what happens with us babies. And it kept saying, thank you, Cada.
Hashtag kill room. Someone else says, just rinse it off when you're done.
Cruelty, symbolism, schema, eat what thou wilt.
And they force you to do things, and they photograph it, they film it. The whole purpose for that is to either blackmail you into staying with them or split your mind up so that you don't even remember who you are.
The FBI has been informed as to everything that has come out of Benassi's mouth.
There is a well-known saying, follow the money, and that holds true when investigating Pizzagate. But when tracking down these Luciferian pedophiles, you have to follow their symbols. It's their footprint. It's how they communicate. We start with politics and prose. It was exposed in an email sent from James Alefantis to John Podesta.
In the same DC area as Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza, it's called Politics and Prose, and allegedly it's owned by a speechwriter for Hillary Rodham Clinton. And what's curious about this particular establishment is on the sidewalk outside the establishment is this image of a skull and bones on the sidewalk. And anyone who's watched the video, The De-Occulting of John Podesta, is well aware that the Podesta image that John posted on his own social media account with a 14 on one hand and a fish on the other, in gematria when decoded it means 322. And when we enter Politics and Prose, what do we see on the stairs leading down to the lower level? Children. It's all circumstantial evidence, but at this point, the circumstantial evidence is leading to a pile of smoking gun clues that suggests that not only is Pizzagate real, it's even more horrifying than Eyes Wide Shut.
Why would this sign be arranged in this way? Think about that. It doesn't even make sense unless they were selling children. In any normal bookstore it would read, Children's Books for Sale, or For Sale Children's Books, not Modern Times Coffee House, Sell Children, with children emphasized in red. I mean, what are they trying to highlight, the sale of books or the sale of children? As far as the symbol on the sidewalk outside the store, most of you know that the Skull and Bones Society have a deep-rooted history in the occult and in the CIA. They have been trafficking heroin out of Afghanistan for years, so for this society, trafficking humans is not out of the realms of possibility. Max Spears, a 39-year-old researcher and investigator from the UK, didn't think so either. But he was found dead on a sofa in Poland after his investigation, alleging that the United States Army and deep state operations were involved in a massive international human trafficking ring. Just days before his death, he texted to his mother, "If anything happens to me, investigate." Spears' friends who were with him reported that he died in the apartment after he was vomiting black liquid. There was no further investigation. Mysterious deaths surrounding those who were investigating Pizzagate and child sex trafficking rings have not only been a theme in this series, but it is becoming a solid proof. And look, if it's hard for you to accept that governmental and non-governmental agencies are involved in human trafficking, take a look at DynCorp International, the private corporation that is contracted by and acts as a mercenary force for America. They have already been charged for human trafficking. It's known, but rarely shared by mainstream media.
I thank the gentleman, the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McKinney.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I watched President Bush deliver a moving speech at the United Nations in September 2003, in which he mentioned the crisis of the sex trade. The president called for the punishment of those involved in this horrible business. But at the very moment of that speech, DynCorp was exposed for having been involved in the buying and selling of young women and children. While all of this was going on, DynCorp kept the Pentagon contract to administer the smallpox and anthrax vaccines and is now working on a plague vaccine through the Joint Vaccine Acquisition Program. Mr. Secretary, is it policy of the U.S. government to reward companies that traffic in women and little girls?
I really hope people start waking up and seeing how insanely dark all this is. I want you to envision a world where those who report, investigate, and prosecute the crimes are actually the criminals. Imagine a world where those who are sworn to protect those children are harming them in the most unspeakable ways. Actually, you don't have to imagine at all. Just look into the likes of the child protection agencies.
Child Protective Services that I mentioned a little while ago. In Orange County last year, they had a bust for these traffickers. They got 105 people, victims of trafficking, human trafficking. 65% of those victims were wards of Child Protective Services. Not only were they wards of Child Protective Services, but check this out, they were never reported missing.
People within Child Protective Services.
Well, what we're finding now is this trafficking is a lot bigger and a lot more involved politically than we care to look at or the media won't cover. Everybody's afraid because there's some real big heavy hitters that are very influential that are involved.
And the acquisition of the children was for sexual purposes?
Absolutely. Children are sold, and there have been cases, children are sold up to 75 times in one day. One day, 75 different Johns abuse this child. It's making the child trafficking industry, or human trafficking, I should say, industry right now makes more money than the illegal drug trade and illegal arms trade combined.
The list goes on and on. We have already exposed Arun Rayo for covering up human trafficking by the MS-13 gangs. The MS-13 gangs being one of the most violent and satanic groups out there. They were kidnapping and selling young girls to the elite, but of course, MS-13 couldn't help but keep a few for their own satanic rituals. And this brought some awareness to the public of what is actually happening out there. Just a lot of sick satanic rituals carried out on innocent, abducted youth.
Pretty sick, horrific crimes. They were in court just a few hours ago, but the thing is, they acted like nothing was wrong, smiling and waving at our cameras. I want to show you this video. Here they are, Miguel Alvarez Flores. He's 22 years old. He's the one in that green shirt. He waved at our camera. These guys have also been charged now with kidnapping a 14-year-old girl who ran away from school, and investigators say they held her hostage for more than 2 weeks. She said that she saw Alvarez Flores and Hernandez Rivera worship a satanic statue.
Cameras were rolling today as agents in body armor with rifles and SWAT vehicles moved in. This LA storefront was one of 15 spots targeted as agents arrested 22 alleged members of MS-13.
A gang that started here in Los Angeles, but which has spread its mayhem across the United States and Central America.
Eventually, they became in Los Angeles, the most active, the most violent street gang.
But LA Police Chief Charlie Beck says raids like this one have weakened MS-13. Today's raid is part of a 3-year ongoing investigation targeting the gang's leaders. Detectives say they may have also stumbled upon human trafficking.
There was a locked room where several individuals were located that did not have access to leave that room.
Northern Virginia is home to some of the largest and most violent street gangs in the country. And now these gangs like MS-13 are moving away from the drug trade and focusing on a new line of work.
They're targeting girls of all ages, selling them for sex, and punishing them with violence if they try to escape.
But to gang members like these convicted traffickers, it's a low-cost, high-payoff enterprise. The younger the girl, the more money they make.
Gang members literally taking girls as young as 12 or 14, going to construction sites, going to 7-Elevens, going to places where they believe there was a paying customer base.
Authorities say these convicted MS-13 members sold girls for sex at the Budget Inn in Falls Church. This receipt shows it even happened the day after Christmas.
A positive ID was taken, and then after we don't have actually no control who they bring in the room and what they do in the room.
And the victims can be tough to spot.
They're dressing like high school age girls that just got out of school.
It happens right in front of you and you don't even know it.
Even Susan's parents didn't know what was really happening.
They don't know that life. Coming from a middle class family, they don't know anything about it. It's not there to them.
Susan eventually found her way off the streets and is piecing her life back together.
I still struggle trying to get over who I am and what I have done.
In Northern Virginia, 12 gang members, mostly from MS-13, have been locked up for child sex trafficking in the past 2 years. But with an estimated 5,000 gang members in our area, authorities say that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Border agents are actually quitting their jobs over the fact that they're being told to catch and release known gang members. The agents said regardless of whether the minors are inked with gang-affiliated tattoos and regardless of whether they admit to the border agents that they are actual gang members, so long as they have no U.S. criminal record, the agents are being forced to release them onto the streets of America.
That little face you see there, that was my face at the age of 12.
She travels the world telling her story.
They would beat me with sticks. They would beat me with cables. They would beat me with chains.
Her name is Carla Jacinto.
I'm a human trafficking survivor. I'm 24 years old. They forced me into prostitution starting at age 12.
By her own estimate, she was raped more than 43,200 times by the time she turned 16.
There were people who would laugh at me because I was crying. I had to close my eyes so that I wouldn't see what they were doing to me.
She says she wants the world to know human trafficking is part of today's reality and every child is at risk. Carla says some of the men who abused her were in law enforcement.
The uniformed police officers entered the room we were in. We had to do everything they asked of us. The whole thing lasted 3 or 4 hours.
What was going through your mind at that point, thinking that those who are supposed to protect you were abusing you?
I thought they were disgusting. They knew we were minors. We were not even developed. We had sad faces.
Rosie Orozco, a former Mexican congresswoman who now fights against human trafficking, says men in positions of power were among Carla's worst abusers.
She had clients that were judges, priests, pastors, police, so she knew that she could not run away to go to the authorities.
It's becoming so clear that those who head up these cases are the ones responsible for the countless cases of missing children. And that truth became even more public when Nancy Schaefer and her husband were suicided for exposing the kidnapping of children by the Child Protective Services in the United States.
I served in the Georgia State Senate. And after 4 years of viewing the ruthless and unsparing actions of Child Protective Services, also called CPS, which I will use tonight, I wrote a scathing report entitled The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services. Thank you. The report cost me my Senate seat. However, there are causes worth losing over. And this is one. Funding is available when a child is placed in a foster home with strangers or placed in a mental health facility and medicated, usually against the parents' wishes. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents. This is abuse of power. It is lack of accountability. And it is a growing criminal political phenomenon spreading around the globe. Oftentimes, but not always, poor parents are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney or fight the system. Being poor and lacking proper housing does not mean your children should be removed. CPS has redefined poor to mean psychologically inferior. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the child to be removed. Best interest, of course, has also been redefined at the child's expense. It has been reported over and over that 6 times as many children die in foster care than in the general public. Once a child is legally kidnapped and placed in official safety, the child is far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation and/or rape.
State lawmakers are now questioning how 70 foster kids can go missing.
The report coming to light after a lawmaker confronted the agency about the missing kids yesterday.
These cases are still underreported. Why is that?
I think that not think, but what's happening is that they've made this correlation to the missing persons, as if the missing person case is not as valid as the runaway rather is not as valid as the missing person. When in reality, if they're missing, you don't know if they are a runaway or if they've been taken.
Even after all of the Pizzagate exposure, the people involved in this trafficking ring have never stopped. Rather, they are laughing at us and throwing it all up in our face. Look at this Department of Homeland Security commercial about human trafficking. Once you recognize the signs, you will recognize this evil everywhere.
Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it happens in our own communities. Join the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign to learn how to recognize and report this heinous crime. Your second look could be their second chance.
This is quite phenomenal what's going on right now, at the pace that it's going on right now. Everything that is being revealed, blown open, and then is this just coincidence? I don't think it is, folks. I mean, come on. Showing a pizzeria, Pizzagate, human trafficking. Oh, by the way, I'm just seeing this right now. The swirl.
Looking at this picture of John Podesta, it's not just some creepy photo of a satanic child abuser and rapist. It's not just the infamous 14 and fish symbolizing the skull and bone society, although Podesta is certainly among them. There are other signs that a lot of people have missed, like the huge chunk missing from his right hand, but it makes sense when you consider Podesta's associations. The WikiLeaks emails revealed that the Podestas spent some time at spirit cooking parties thrown by Marina Abramovich. Most of you have heard about her by now, pushing Aleister Crowley's teachings of Thelema or the Book of Law among the inner Luciferian circles of the government and Hollywood, which is basically do whatever you want, and they do. Abramovich and others in their satanic gang want to do sacrifices. They want to do child rape, torture, rituals. They want to eat people. They want to serve Satan, and that is why you see the rise of Satanism in the public systems, in entertainment, and spreading even faster underground and on the deep web.
There's good reason for my glistening skin, and how I shine, and how my pores are so clean and clear. I eat little baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet. I spring from activity to activity. I love my job. I love my life. When you eat little baby's ice cream, you'll wink and nod and hug and high-five each other with great enthusiasm. This is a special time.
Hollywood is throwing Abramovich's name around so much it even popped up in the new series, The Young Pope, a somewhat real depiction of some of the things that take place inside of the Vatican.
The most important film director.
Spielberg.
No, Kubrick. Contemporary artist.
Jeff Koons. Oh, Marina Abramović.
Banksy, electronic music group.
Oh, I don't know the first thing about electronic music.
Contemporary artist.
Jeff Koons. Oh, Marina Abramović.
Banksy.
And it's just more of what we can expect from Hollywood now. It took 7 months to film the first season of The Young Pope, and filming began in August 2015. Now, you guys will recall that the WikiLeaks Podesta emails broke in March of 2016, and up until that point, the general public was not at all informed about spirit cooking or the quote-unquote art of Marina Abramović. We have since learned how closely tied the elites in Washington, D.C. and the elites in Hollywood are to the satanic practices of Marina Abramović and her spirit cooking.
Perhaps it's a message for us all, as dark Luciferian rituals inside the catacombs of the Vatican are real and their record of pedophilia is known. No wonder why there are secret societies within the Vatican that gather in what has become known as Lucifer's Lodge. In one of her rituals, Abramović tells her followers to cut deep in the middle finger of your left hand and eat the pain, something that John Podesta was very proud of in this picture. This is expected from the Podestas, after the artwork in Tony Podesta's house was shared with the world by Washington Life. It's a strange and somewhat sickening feeling, isn't it? We have come to learn about the extremely dark worlds of James Alefantis and the Podestas, and after soaking all of that in, and understanding that they adhered to the teachings of Aleister Crowley, it's insane to think that they have been major players in the White House, influencing decisions within the United States for decades. We have been living in a dream world, and they have been deceiving us for a very long time. Hollywood certainly plays its role in Pizzagate.
These are our boys! Jules! And Vern!
But what does that mean?
It means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. Both of you.
It was brought to my attention last night that Brooke Shields was a victim of Hollywood in the 70s, which is before my time, but that it was done in plain sight. Now, what I'm about to show you is shocking. Even though these images exist on the internet and have been published and displayed publicly, I think you will agree there is something terribly wrong with them. And why do I say this? Well, because these are photos that photographer Gary Gross took of Brooke Shields when she was 10 years old. That's right, nude photographs of Brooke Shields when she was 10 years old were featured in Playboy. So this is when she's 12 years old. In this film, when she is 12 years old, this was Hollywood's attempt to normalize pedophilia way back in the 70s and 80s. This is right around the same time that Roman Polanski was raping 13-year-old girls.
What am I bid, gentlemen? Don't we get to look before we buy? Kids, you can look all you want. Just Don't break the merchandise.
Hey, how do we know she is a virgin?
Have I ever lied to you before? Satisfaction guaranteed.
$400.
Jesus Christ. Who is he, Rockefeller?
How old is she?
Do you want to put me in jail? She's just old enough.
When I was skimming through this movie, which I've seen many times when I was young, I had a new take on it. In fact, it seemed rather creepy. The tale seemed to be more about a child in danger from two invading paedophiles. Throughout the movie there's many scenes where I felt the intentions of the robbers were more about getting the child rather than robbing the house.
How do you want to go in?
We'll go to the back door. Maybe he'll let us in, you never know.
Yeah, he's a kid. Kids are stupid.
Marv!
Harry? Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
What are we gonna do to him, Harry?
Do exactly what he did to us. And I'll burn his head with a blowtorch.
And smash his face with an iron! Or shove a nail through his foot!
First thing I'm gonna do is bite off every one of these little fingers, one at a time. Remember that kid we saw the other day? He lives here.
Well, if the kid's there, the parents gotta be.
He's home alone.
In December 2013, Macaulay Culkin uploaded a viral video of himself eating a cheese pizza. Many of you may remember this. This, of course, was to promote his new band called The Pizza Underground. Of course, now in light of Pizzagate and the DC Comet Ping Pong Pizza Network being exposed online, we can now see this in a new light, and it's disturbing to say the least. The video featured the group performing on a bed of pizza boxes surrounded by pizza checkered walls, with members of the group wearing slices of pizza as masks. Masks being yet another indication and blatant reference to this occult satanic world. Can it get any more obvious?
It's no big deal.
No.
Love that. You want this pizza? What's your name? Fresh at the oven, bon appetit, baby.
You did. Marty. I had my time where I wondered if this was all in my head. The time passed. Really? It's something you're gonna have to look at. No other way around it.
The owners of entertainment and sports industries love to play out Hunger Games type scenarios on their victims.
Some clients own their own island or a big piece of land, and they would buy us just to hunt us. Some laid traps for us, and others would track us down like animals. It was important never to be the one captured first because you didn't want to appear like you weren't playing the game. You would be punished. It's one of the scariest things clients ever had me do.
Well, Kendall claims that she was purchased by wealthy clients to do anything they pleased. Now, sometimes she was used as arm candy, others for very sick games. On the outside, her clients were pillars of their communities. But behind closed doors, she says they were sinister and evil human beings.
The clients all had different expectations for what they wanted from me and what they wanted me to do. Sometimes they would bring little boys into the room and they would make me have sex with them. Many of the boys were as young as 5. To this day, I still wonder if I raped those little boys or if they raped me. Now I feel lost.
100% believe that you have been trafficked. I 100% believe that you have been exploited. I 100% believe that you have been hurt, that you have been beaten, that you have been abused.
Yeah, well, the reality is like what's happened. The truth is that none of that was bad.
It was okay to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It was okay to have sex with a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
It was okay to hold a baby by its neck until it died.
There have been many actors speaking out against the rampant pedophilia in the industry and around the world. But these are all surface problems. It is clear among the people that Hollywood has been pushing a satanic agenda for some time, that they are glamorizing cannibalism and pedophilia, desensitizing the people to a new future they hope to usher in. The Clintons have been around U.S. politics since most of us were kids. Similar to the Bush family, they are something like American royals. They never seem to leave, and their record for honesty is about as bad as their record of acquaintances.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
He turned his back on questions as the First Lady followed, applauding.
There is another place nearby Comet Pizza. It's called Beyond Borders. It proclaims on its website that it works to end child slavery and violence against girls in Haiti. The same exact sentiments of the Clinton Foundation. When Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, Haiti was one of the major focuses of the Clinton Foundation. But there were huge concerns over its corruption. Billions of dollars worldwide that was sent to Haiti after the devastating 2010 earthquake simply disappeared.
Well, we have every reason to be mad because the Clintons have destroyed Haiti for the decades. And, you know, they pretend to be our friends when in reality they are our #1 enemies. So they're doing a lot of things. Right now, if there's a millionaire or a billionaire who wants to do business in Haiti, they cannot do anything unless they check with the Clintons. The Clintons are the one who's running Haiti.
But money wasn't the only thing disappearing from Haiti. A lot of children were too. In fact, even the Clinton Foundation's CEO, Eric Braverman, disappeared. Not long after John Podesta named him as a possible mole within the Clinton Foundation. The mystery behind Eric Braverman's case has many theories, too many to go through. It was even tweeted by Google executive Eric Schmidt's wife that he had taken a big position with an offshoot of Google known as Alphabet Inc. Alphabet Inc. invests strongly in artificial intelligence. Keep that in mind for later. The FBI and the family of Braverman were searching for him for over 88 days, and even after this announcement by Schmidt's wife, he still did not turn up. But what I want to know, more than the reason of his disappearance, is why a young unknown whose credentials could easily land him a leading role in one of the leading artificial intelligence companies out there right now, be working for a quote-unquote non-profit organization such as the Clinton Foundation. That question remains to be answered. Some even speculate he is seeking asylum in Russia or actually dead. And why dead? Well, some of those who were investigating and speaking out against the Clintons' involvement in child sex trafficking in Haiti have ended up that way.
John Ash, who was facing trial for tax fraud, died June 22, 2016 in his house in Westchester County. The UN said he'd had a heart attack. but the local Dobbs Ferry police said his throat had been crushed, presumably by a barbell he dropped while pumping iron. Although initially reported as having died from a heart attack, John's throat had obviously been crushed. At that point, the official story changed to him accidentally dropping a barbell on his own throat, which, I might add, is the plotline from the episode An Exercise in Fatality from the TV series Columbo. He was involved with the Clinton family, as well as art dealing and laundering money through restaurants. And it is very important to note John's link to the highly controversial Art in Embassy program, an operation that allows high-profile people to ship art, and this includes living art, through a private shipping channel that bypasses airport security.
One of the most talked about cases in the Pizzagate scandal, revolving around Haiti and the Clinton Foundation, undoubtedly is Monica Peterson.
On November 14th, the Laboratory to Combat Human Trafficking reported that Monica Peterson, investigating the Clintons' involvement in Haiti for the Human Trafficking Center, mysteriously died the day before. Peterson had been highly critical of the Clinton Foundation, writing on her blog, "Hillary Clinton should get far more scrutiny for her scandalous conduct in Haiti. From rigging the March 2011 presidential election for her favored candidate Michael Sweet Mickey Martelli, supporter of the CIA-created death squad, to ensuring that her brother Tony Rodham and a company that barely exists got a sweetheart gold mine concession in Haiti that royally cheated the state of Haiti." In a letter to her friend, Peterson had uncovered 2 huge trafficking scandals and a social displacement scandal with billions in unaccounted earthquake aid leading directly back to the Clintons. She had just begun investigating the correlation regarding the Clinton Foundation's Caracol Industrial Park complex and its connection to a human trafficking network when her life was mysteriously cut short.
The Haiti Sentinel reported that just 2 days before a major anti-human trafficking sting took place on the island, the Clinton Foundation announced that it would be cutting all programs in Haiti.
The Clinton Foundation just announced on Saturday that it's going to be cutting its programs in Haiti and splitting them into separate entities. This stirred controversy and speculation on the internet as to the timeliness of this because it occurred just a day or so between the Haitian child trafficking bust that rescued 31 girls ages 13 to 17.
She doesn't have to answer any questions right now.
She has scrubbed the server and their emails will never see.
She was supposed to have her emails separate to begin with, and then she wiped the server clean.
How can you get answers from the ones that were scrubbed?
If there's nothing to hide, why do they always act? I don't think they are.
Conflict of interest concerns have surfaced around presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Her nonprofit organization got millions of dollars from foreign donors while she was Secretary of State.
The biggest individual donations came from Ukraine.
Wouldn't it at least be fair to look into it and ask these questions about whether or not the giving of foreign money to a foundation that belonged to that family in any way influenced the action that person took as Secretary of State?
The Clintons have made $150 million over the past decade.
Sidney Blumenthal appeared to be running State Department business.
Mr. Blumenthal's involvement was more wide-ranging and more complicated than previously known.
Helping Hillary Clinton in a capacity that nobody knew about.
He's basically the personification of a Clinton insider.
And in all kinds of ways that bring up some very big concerns.
Advising Secretary Clinton on Libya while he had business interests there.
Bottom line here, Blumenthal sent intelligence to an alternate personal email account while being paid by the Clinton Foundation.
Several Gulf states have been donating money to the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Foundation.
Tens and tens of millions of dollars from countries with atrocious human rights records.
Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and Brunei.
She's taken money from countries that abuse the rights of women.
All those countries have been criticized by the State Department for violating women's rights.
Are they expecting something in return?
Name one country on this planet in which we have a better relationship with them now than we did in January 2009.
She was the Secretary of State. Her handling of Benghazi.
Sidney Blumenthal, she wiped the server clean.
And we will never see them.
They decide they're not going to play by the same rules.
She has to answer some very significant questions.
So let the conversation begin. I have a feeling it's going to be very interesting.
I have a feeling this is going to be very interesting too, and verifiably so. Hillary Clinton is not just linked to the deranged, satanic, and pedophilic characters of James Alefantis and John Podesta, but there are some more notable ones, such as George Soros and Frank Giustra. George Soros, a man who has been called the one-man Illuminati machine, donated millions to the Clinton Foundation for works in Haiti, even making personal visits with Hillary Clinton on several occasions, and I have to say, they both seem a little too excited when they come walking up on these poor little Haitian kids. Frank Giustra, a very well-connected and powerful person, donated over $100 million to the Clinton Foundation. One of his ventures is known as El Pita. Look at the image spray painted on one of the compound walls. Does that look familiar? By now it should. It's the Boy Lover logo, right on the wall at an El Pita project. El Pita, or should we say El Pedophile, just happens to work with refugees, and you will find that the federal international human trafficking agencies are even more sinister than the Child Protection Services. There is also a strong connection between the Clinton Foundation and the British royal family, through the new Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau.
All right, so how does any of this relate to the royals and the Clintons? Well, you may recall when Justin Trudeau was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Canada, he swore a very lengthy and detailed pledge of fealty to the Queen of England.
I, Justin P.J. Trudeau, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I shall be a true and faithful servant to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as a member of Her Majesty's Privy Council for Canada. I shall keep secret all matters committed and revealed to me in this capacity or that shall be secretly treated of in council. Generally, in all things, I shall do as a faithful and true servant ought to do for Her Majesty, so help me God.
The excuse for this $241.5 million donation to the corrupt Clinton Foundation is supposedly that it will support projects that will provide critical sexual and reproduction health services around the world.
Strange timing for a prime minister to donate over $250 million to a non-profit organization ran in the private sector by a former U.S. President and Secretary of State, a time where the trafficking investigation in Haiti was at its highest. It's not just the British royals. There are some big Arab royal families involved in all of this too, and who heavily support the Clinton Foundation. Nations that are known for dark pedophilic tendencies, such as Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. What's very interesting is that Tony Podesta has big clients among the Arab elite. The Podesta Group lobbied for fracked gas to be exported from the United States to foreign partners. That project is funded by the Qataris. In so many ways, all of these pieces fit together in the same puzzle. Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's right-hand aide that has been with her for over 20 years after she was brought into the fold out of college, has strong family ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and Clinton has admitted to receiving big donations, millions of dollars for her pet projects from the Qatari government, members of the Muslim Brotherhood, and especially Saudi Arabia. Just ask yourself why the Podesta Group receives $140,000 a month from the Saudi Arabian government, and why is Tony Podesta a registered foreign agent for Saudi Arabia? Ask yourself why James Alefantis, a pizza shop owner, is close friends with this guy. A guy who clearly has shadowy and deep state relations in Saudi Arabia and with other Arab royals. Many of the young women that were captured by ISIS were sold as sex slaves inside of Saudi Arabia.
Lamia Aji Bashar, an 18-year-old Yazidi girl who escaped her Islamic State group enslavers. As she was trying to escape, her two friends stepped on a landmine. Bashar survived the blast and is now free, but her little 9-year-old sister is still enslaved. It's estimated there are still 3,000 women and girls being held as sex slaves. ISIS is even using technology to keep track of the girls and sell them. The terrorists are using encrypted software inside of apps like Telegram and WhatsApp to advertise 12-year-old virgins for sale. The women and children are mostly from the Yazidi community. They were taken prisoner in August 2014 when ISIS fighters overran their villages.
Technology and the ambition of the people to want to know the truth had finally caught up with the Clintons, and Hillary decided to make a public appearance addressing the allegations against her. She chose none other than politics and prose to speak to the people. It's sick how they are throwing it all up in our face and mocking us.
Well, you can only go so far with read these emails and listen to people, as in every campaign you can imagine, debate about what to do when and who says what and all of that. So they had to be weaponized. They had to have elements plucked out and perverted in a way that would be hard to imagine, and then sent back out into the cyber virtual world. So in one of the emails, John Podesta is talking about pizza. He's Italian and Greek, and a very good cook. And yeah, his risotto recipe is still there if you want to see it. And I'm sure there's something very nefarious about that risotto recipe. So all of a sudden, John's writing about pizza, and one of these really, I consider, evil people in the media world and in the online world, out of whole cloth, make up this story that John Podesta and I are running a child trafficking ring in the basement of the Comet Pizza Parlor. By the way, there is no basement. Yeah, there is no basement. Now, you would think people would be laughing like crazy, shaking their heads, but if you migrate that crazy story to Facebook posts, to news outlets, there are people who will believe that.
Hillary Clinton downplayed the emails and even poked fun at the pizza sex trafficking scandal she was all wrapped up in. And of course she had to. There has been so much evidence piling up against her and Bill Clinton that people from all over America are still to this day calling for her arrest. And the fact they have not been arrested shows how much power they really have. But one of the most condemning evidences in the Clinton sex trafficking connection, one she is having a very hard time separating herself from, is her business relationship with Laura Silsby. Laura Silsby was charged with child abduction and criminal conspiracy for attempting to kidnap 33 children from Haiti. Most of these kids had families. Silsby's representative, a man by the name of Puela, was also convicted of sex trafficking.
It has to be processed because it's illegal traffic of children and we won't accept that.
We understand that the organisation isn't even yet registered as a non-profit, and it certainly isn't dedicated to looking after any kind of kids in the DR because that school and orphanage is not set up yet. It is still a 45-room motel that hasn't been converted. Third lie on this single piece of paper. We have permission to bring orphan kids into our orphanage in the Dominican Republic. Not true. The Dominican consul told the Americans at 2 p.m. on Friday, you do not have the paperwork, it is illegal what you're doing, do not travel. 4 hours later at the border, the Americans were arrested. And then final lie, they're talking about you can follow the progress of your kids on our website. The website is not up and running yet, Anderson.
Beyond the neglect, something far more nefarious was occurring. Haitian children were disappearing. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation reported United Nations officials say children have gone missing from hospitals in Haiti since the devastating January 12th earthquake, raising fears of trafficking. We have documented around 15 cases of children disappearing from hospitals and not with their own family at the time, said UNICEF advisor Jean-Luc Legrand. Trafficking networks were springing into action immediately after the disaster and taking advantage of the weakness of local authorities and relief coordination to kidnap children and get them out of the country, reported the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. One such person arrested for trafficking was New Life Child's refuge owner Laura Silsby, who, according to WikiLeaks documents, Hillary Clinton had been very interested in 9 years before the 2010 Haitian earthquake, and it was Bill Clinton that used his former presidential weight to have Silsby essentially freed.
It was Bill Clinton who personally got Silsby released from prison. She then became an associate of My State USA, which later changed its name to AlertSense. AlertSense is the one providing the technology to issue Amber Alerts, the Child Abduction Emergency Alert System.
The civil authorities have issued a child abduction emergency for all of Vermont beginning at 1:30.
Go figure, right? Again, imagine a world where those who report the crime become the criminal. Something worth mentioning about Laura Silsby. She just happened to be present at the White House when James Alefantis and the gay porn prostitute stayed there for 2 days. Is it possible that they were all attending the same meetings? Considering that the likes of all three of them should have never been spending the night at the White House in the first place, it is certainly possible. Now, after all of this evidence pointing towards the Clintons' involvement inside and outside of Haiti, and knowing their connection with Silsby and James Alefantis, it brings a whole new meaning to the post from James Alefantis on his Jimmy Comet page. A picture of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles saying, "Whip up a Haitian special."
This is a very serious moment that a video of Adrian John Wells has been briefly played before a senior constable and 2 constables at the ACT Head Police Court headquarters. Part of that short section of a 60-minute video are the words of Adrian John Wells that he and his sister were involved in child trafficking with Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister. I didn't want to show the rest of the video. I will email the link to this police station and these individuals. They may choose to look at that video or not. At this stage, the way the game works, and it obviously has been a lot of gaming for a long, long time, they can't formally open a file because Adrian John Wells is not here. And I accept that, having been an Australian lawyer since the 2nd of April 1979, when I was before 5 Supreme Court judges with an oath of allegiance to the Queen and admitted to practice as a barrister and solicitor, Supreme Court of Victoria.